Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us for Access City Council. I'm your host, City of Las Vegas Communications Director David Riggleman. Coming up on this show, it's a topic close to many people's hearts. They're animals. From adoptions to ordinances that cover a wide range of issues affecting our animals. We're going to talk about that today. First, joining us with more on this important topic and a whole lot more going on in Ward 6 is, of course, our Ward 6 Councilwoman Nancy Brune. Welcome back.
Good morning, David.
How are you?
Good to be here. Great.
Are you surviving the summer okay?
Yeah.
It's going fast.
It's a little hot, but we're surviving.
The kids are going to be back in school before too long,
yeah.
So we're going to talk a little bit about that later on. You got some stuff coming up to kind of ease that back into school thing. So, well, Councilwoman, we're going to tell everybody out there, if you don't know where Ward 6 is located, this is your stomping ground. But for those of you out there not exactly sure where we're talking about, well, it's the great northwest area of the valley, of course, with the 6 on it there. If you live in that area or work in that area, then of course you're in the city limits of the city of Las Vegas. And if you're a resident out there, you're represented on the city council by Nancy Brune. And Councilwoman, let's dive right into this. It's an important topic. Today's topic, we're pleased to welcome 2 guests to the show. Joining Councilwoman Brune and me is the CEO of the Animal Foundation, Hilarie Gray. Hilarie, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Good to have you here. And we also welcome the manager of the Department of Public Safety's Animal Protection Services, Mr. Rudy Tovar. Rudy, good to have you here as well.
Thank you.
Hilarie, Rudy, it's going to be a great topic today. Everybody loves their animals. And Councilwoman, that starts with you because you're an animal lover, and I didn't know this until we were getting ready to do the show. You have adopted and fostered animals dozens over the years.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about that.
We actually started during the pandemic. We were home, and so we thought, and I kept seeing all these notices about animals that needed fostering from the Animal Foundation, so we became a kitten foster family and then just increased to dogs. And so we probably fostered a couple of dozen animals over the last few years. And then I will say we finally had our first foster fail. So we recently adopted one of the dogs that we were fostering. So I'm excited, yeah. But we have a lot of animal lovers in Ward 6. And actually one of our own team members, Madison, is also fostering a dog with the Animal Foundation, an older dog, which I love. So.
Now, Hilarie says that you also volunteer over there, too, with the Animal Foundation.
We do, yeah.
So tell us about that. You go in, and she said you were doing laundry or something like that.
I know, I can't get my kids to do laundry at home, but we went to the Animal Foundation, and we spent like 4 hours just folding towels and doing laundry. So it was great.
Good stuff.
Giving dogs a treat. So it's a great, I used to go actually after a stressful day and just go and say hi to all the dogs.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, in the interest of full disclosure, our dog also came from the Animal Foundation,
nice.
and she's definitely a part of our family. So it's our extra kids.
That's wonderful. We love to hear it. Yeah.
She's a good dog. We love her. And so Hilarie and Rudy, help set this up a little bit for us. People sometimes are confused between the relationship between the city and the Animal Foundation. How does it work, Rudy? Your team will go out and pick up sometimes animals that are out on the streets, and then we work with the Animal Foundation at that point, right?
Yeah, that's correct. In its most simplest terms, we go out based on calls. So we receive calls from the public. We go out, take a look and see what's going on. Definitely focus on education and animal welfare. We want to keep the animal at home. We don't want to take the animals to the foundation. And only as a last resort do we take the animal to the foundation until we can get the homeowner back into compliance.
Gotcha. And then Hilarie, if they do arrive, and I know you feel the same way, it's better if the pets don't end up going to the foundation. Because oftentimes, you were telling us before we came on the air, we think of stray animals as being kind of lost and abandoned, but not really the case often, is it?
That's true. And just to kind of go back for a quick second to the relationship between the Animal Foundation and the city, the county, and North Las Vegas, we're the contractor for the services that the jurisdictions are required to do by statute, which is take in stray animals or surrendered animals and hold them for a certain amount of time to allow an owner to come forward. But everything else, we refer to it as the shelter side versus the foundation side. Adoption, foster, all of our programs that are shelter diversion to keep pets in homes, community outreach, all of that is funded by the nonprofit, the foundation. So that's how we work together. But you're exactly right. The largest proportion of animals that come into the Animal Foundation are called strays, but it's not like what you would think of sometimes picturing maybe those old ASPCA Sarah McLachlan commercials, the dog that's on the street, that's dirty, that's been abandoned. Yes, we see some of those, and those are the ones that we want to reserve our space for, the ones that really, really need us. But most of the strays are really people's lost pets that through some twist of fate, they've gotten out under a fence, somebody opens the door when the Amazon man comes, kids are coming in and out of the house, and they're lost. And most of the time, they're lost within their own neighborhood. Wow. There are studies that show that like 70% of strays that are pets are lost within a mile of their own home.
70%.
And about half of those are within like 100 feet of their home. And so that's why we appeal not just to our partners and animal protection services, but to good neighbors out there. When you see a friendly stray, it's probably somebody's pet. So if you can take the time to snap a picture, put it on Nextdoor, walk around the neighborhood, use a service that we work with called Petco Love Lost that has facial recognition, where you can actually upload a picture of the pet, and it'll tell you if somebody in the area is looking for one that looks like that. Wow. It'll also print flyers for you. There's all kinds of cool stuff that can be done. And a lot of people also don't know, and this relates to a great thing that the city is doing, that any veterinarian and most pet stores can scan for a microchip too. So if you find a friendly stray out and about, you can actually take that dog or cat right over to Petco, to your vet. They'll be able to scan, and if there's a microchip, oftentimes you can get that animal right home.
Yeah, that's great. That's really good. Well, Rudy, that's a perfect segue to talk about. We've got an ordinance about microchipping that's going to go into effect
August.
Yeah, and tell everybody what it means, and if you're a resident within the city of Las Vegas, you want to pay attention to this.
Yeah, so we have a mandatory microchipping ordinance that is going into effect officially in August. So we had about a year grace period where we spent a lot of time on education, but now we are going to go ahead and that's going to be live. So it's going to be your dogs and cats. So, one of the biggest challenges for us is when we scan an animal in the field, oftentimes they don't have a microchip. So it does become very difficult to get that animal home. Now, we're fortunate that every animal that leaves the foundation with a microchip. That's excellent. If we find a dog that came from the foundation, we scan them, we immediately know where the dog lives, and we can make that return right away.
So that's the plan, Rudy, is to take the dog back to the owner versus, if you can, if they're microchipped, versus taking them down to the shelter, going through the process there. So,
right. Yeah. If we could get that dog home in the field, as opposed to going into the shelter, which is a stressful environment because there are so many dogs there. Yeah. So if we can make that impact in the field, the dog won't have to go into the shelter, and that is the best option.
Yeah. And even being on the truck for a lot of hours is stressful for an animal too. So anything that we can do, like as a pet owner, we do a lot of education too on microchipping. We are thrilled that the city is having that ordinance. We think it's going to make a huge difference. We have low-cost microchip appointments in our clinic every day. We often do free microchip events, so we want to support that.
Let's talk about that, Hilarie. For people out there watching this, and they're saying, "Oh gosh, my pet's not microchipped." There's help from Animal Foundation. The city also has some resources too. Talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So often in areas where we see a lot of animals coming in that don't get returned, we'll take our veterinary crew out and we'll do a free microchipping event and do like 400 microchips in a few hours. It's amazing. But we have a low-cost public clinic too, where we do low-cost vaccines and microchips every day. And you can go online to our website and make an appointment. We'll also take walk-ins often because a lot of people that make an appointment don't show up for the appointment. But also your veterinarian, if you have a relationship, can do a microchip too. If you're not sure, your veterinarian can scan for a microchip. And then the other thing that's really important is if you've moved, you want to make sure that that address is updated.
Yeah, that's
on
true.
The microchip.
Really good point.
Sometimes our folks, they're our tags team at the Animal Foundation in Lost and Found. They're like detectives where they're looking at the history of the microchip that they can see to see if they can identify that owner. And sometimes it's a few back. A funny story, a neighbor of mine adopted her cat while she was overseas and never changed the microchip.
Oh, geez.
The cat got lost, and she asked me, she's like, are they going to call this foreign country if the microchip
I think the
comes
answer
up?
would be yes.
And the answer is yes. And I said, please give your friend a heads up because we don't want to be returning that cat to Ireland or whatever it was. So, but microchipping really works. And what's great about that is, you can put a tag on your pet, and that's great on a collar, We even encourage people
Yeah.
to like just write your phone number in a Sharpie on the collar, if nothing else. But those things can fall off, right? A microchip stays with your pet,
Yeah,
and
that's
so
for
that's
sure.
why it's so important.
And Rudy, the city also, we have some resources too, along with Animal Foundation, to help people if they need to get their dog or cat microchipped and they haven't gotten around to it.
Yeah, that's correct. And I'm thrilled to announce that we have been working with Hearts Life and Heaven Can Wait to ensure that our folks in our wards have access to microchipping. So they're definitely a good resource. You can give them a call, see if they can get you in for an appointment and get your animal chipped.
Yeah, very good.
That's great. The more that we can work as partners in this valley, the better.
Councilwoman, you and I were talking too, the numbers of animals coming in to the foundation that our teams in the field, APS has to go pick up, the numbers that Hilarie and her team are dealing with on the shelter side, it's just been staggering.
Just talking about the issue, we've been talking about our animal welfare ecosystem being in crisis for the last year. I think what we know is that a lot of people got cute pets when they were home during the pandemic, and as soon as they had to go back to work or go back to school, they sent them back to a shelter, or the cost of rent is rising, so a lot of people who are now moving into an unhoused situation are abandoning their pets, or they're facing choices between pet food or healthcare expenses, and so they can't afford both with the inflation, and so giving up their pet. I will tell you, I went to the store for my 3 dogs and spent like $300 on food. I mean, it really is.
It's
It's
cheap
not
anymore.
cheap
It's
to
not.
have
Right.
an animal. So I think, unfortunately, people are abandoning their animals, and then we see all these posts on Nextdoor, and you receive 800 animals, and it's like all of the rescues right now are being stressed. They're looking for fosters because they have a flood of animals coming in.
Take it from there, Hilarie. I know you guys are just...
And I just, oh my gosh, in case people seeing this panic, just to be clear, we have about 800 animals total in the shelter right now. We have been since May, which is early for us. Summer is usually busy, but we've been seeing an average of more than 100 animals coming into the shelter every day, which is a lot. Summer is always busy. People are on the go. But one of the good things that we have come together on, that including our jurisdictional partners, is to put up a pet support hotline. The folks that Councilwoman was describing that have fallen on hard times but love their pets and maybe just need a little help with pet food, with low-cost veterinary care, even pet rent or pet deposits. We actually have some grant funding and a program that's called KEPT.
that the apartment requires,
For keeping every person and pet together. And we want people to give our pet support hotline a call. It's open 9 to 9.
We're going to put that on
7 days a week.
We're going to put that on the screen for everybody, Hilarie.
Yeah, and they've already taken more than 8,000 calls just in the few months that they've been
Kidding.
open.
Wow.
What's great about that is you can call our pet support hotline if you've lost your pet, if you've found a pet in your neighborhood and need some help on how
Great
do I
resource,
find the owner, so that maybe their first call will be to us instead of automatically calling out an officer to bring that dog or cat. And then the other thing too is if you're thinking about, oh my gosh, I'm not sure if I can keep my pet. And we find that most people really do love their animals and want to keep them desperately, especially if they're going through something.
Right.
It helps them to have that family member there. So I've been at the Animal Foundation on days where we've had pet food pantry where we've had like 300 families come.
Wow.
We even, before the 4th of July, because we were concerned about animals getting scared and getting out.
It's a big thing every year.
We gave out more than 500 custom tags and collars to people that came in for our kept pet food pantry too. People were very grateful for that, and we're excited to be able to help people who really just want to keep their pets in homes. So maybe you think of the Animal Foundation as the place where we get pets into homes through adoption, through foster, but keeping pets in homes is also really key to it.
That's really great, Hilarie. Yeah.
Can I follow up on something you said? Because I just found out about this. So speaking of supports, we know it's kitten season. There are a lot of kittens, and you guys have so many kittens. You shared something recently about the kitten support kits that you have. Can you let our viewers know, what they can do if they come across a litter of kittens or a mama and their kittens?
Sure, and I'm sure Rudy's team gets calls about this all the time.
Just a few.
There's so many cats that people find in neighborhoods, and the first thing is if you see kittens, a lot of the time people are thinking, oh my gosh, I don't see the mama cat. These kittens must have been abandoned. I need to grab them. I need to call animal control. I need to bring them to the shelter. Where the first thing is 90% of the time that mama is just out getting food. And by taking those kittens out of their area, you're actually endangering them more. But if you do, and we also have, if you call our hotline or online, we have some tips as to how to figure that out. But if you do encounter kittens and you have them, you're kind of taking a little bit of responsibility for them. So we have kitten kits to help you bottle feed babies that are too young to be adopted, that we have available for Animal Protection Services officers to carry on their trucks. And we also have a new program that we've started this year called the Itty Bitty Kitty Committee, where we do walk-in fostering. We get so many kittens, and so many of them are the neonates that need that around-the-clock care, that even though during the busy season we actually staff 24 hours with our feline team, there's just not enough of them. So right now we probably have 90, 100, 110 people that are kitten fosters.
Wow.
And you can actually look at our website, hit the feline link, and see which kittens and which litters need help that day. And you can walk in and just take home a whole bunch of kittens.
Exactly. We need your help, so please step up.
It's very rewarding. Along those lines, too, the other thing that we've started is just a walk-up foster window in our adoptions lobby, where one of the things that we heard from the community is, oh, I've got to email your foster team, fill out the application online. Sometimes I don't hear back right away. So to make that really easy, you can walk right up to the window, primarily for foster field trips, which is another fantastic program. And we've doubled the number of foster field trips in the months this year that the walk-up window has been
easier
open
now,
compared to last year. And that is take a dog to Red Rock, take a dog to Lazy Dog Cafe, just go through the drive-through and get them a pup cup or take them for a walk in the park. So that's really easy, but also for kind of the main longer-term fosters to answer questions. You can fill out an application in person. So we want to do everything we can to make it as easy as possible for people to do the right thing and help animals.
That's great. That's really great. Councilwoman, I want us to mention this too, is the fact that we've got some ordinances in the works. We talked about the microchipping ordinance, but you're also in support of some other ordinances that maybe we could have Rudy talk a little bit about that want to make people aware of, so that they're kind of up to speed on.
Well, in addition to the ordinances, and we just also approved a budget that has some additional resources
this is
for
important too.
Animal Protective Services. So I believe we got a couple of new trucks.
Correct.
And how much do those trucks run, Rudy? I mean,
So the trucks are extremely expensive. We're kind of looking at now 80 to 100 grand, because first you got to buy the truck, and then you have to buy a custom animal kit to fit that truck. And that's not including the technology that goes into the truck, and it also has to have a dedicated AC for the kennels. So it's getting very expensive nowadays.
and then I think we also approved a couple of new positions to help. And do you envision that those positions will also help with the illegal backyard breeding, or to help enforce some of these ordinances around microchipping? Or
It's definitely going to help us enforce our ordinances. And the approach that we always take is education first. So that is the key component for Animal Protection Services. We want to get folks into compliance. We don't necessarily want to come down on them. We want to get them in the right state to ensure that their animals are safe, happy, healthy, and alert. So absolutely, the three positions will help out. And hopefully they'll be coming online soon. We think we got only 2 left to staff, so we're doing pretty good.
It's good.
That's fantastic. That's really going to help
everybody's
too.
working so hard.
We talk about this a lot in a lot of communities. The Animal Protection Service offices are like community service officers too, not only carrying like the kitten kits, but helping people fix fences and things to bring them
so the dogs or cats don't get out. Yeah, exactly.
To help them get access to a microchip. So we appreciate that so much, because the more resource that Animal Protection Services is on that end, the better they're going to be able to work with us to make sure that pets get home and don't wind up in the shelter.
We can thank Councilwoman Brune and her colleagues for allowing that to happen in the budget process.
Well, we have a lot of animal lovers on the city council
sure.
right now. So,
And Rudy, what else is cooking in as far as ordinances that we're looking at?
I want to talk about the increase in animals owned for the city of Las Vegas. Wards 1 through 6, we recently increased from 3 to 6, so you could have up to 6 dogs or cats. So ideally what we want to do is we want to see animals integrated back into the community, hopefully coming from the Animal Foundation or a local rescue. Because once those animals come in, that'll open up some new shelter space, and then we can get the animals that need the care, just like Hilarie said. So that is probably one of the biggest ones that we've got. There's also an ordinance related to unlicensed breeding for sale. So the key component there being sale. There is mandatory minimums now, where it's a $500 fine and 2 days of imprisonment. The defendant can forego jail if they receive an animal handler's permit. But there's definitely some restrictions on animal handlers permits,
Right.
and we don't just give those out. So if there's an animal cruelty component, if there's been any suspicion of overbreeding, if there's been violations of city ordinances, chances are that my team and I are going to reject that application.
Hilarie, give some perspective of why that ordinance is so important, because the illegal breeding of the animals is a huge problem, isn't it?
Definitely. Pet stores that deal with puppy mills are also an issue that we've dealt with together with the other jurisdictions. Illegal backyard breeding. We see animals in the shelter all the time that have come from backyard breeders. Sometimes they have health problems because of that. Yeah. A lot of the time it's somebody who has seen the curb appeal of that cute puppy, right. And don't realize that it's like when you have a newborn baby, having a puppy is kind of crazy. So we do see a lot of these locally bred dogs coming into the shelter. And what's interesting too is, just to dispel another myth, as Rudy said, it would be great if people who want to open their homes and hearts to pets will adopt from one of the many rescues in town, from us, from our partner shelters. And one of the myths is that every dog that's in the shelter is either a pit bull or a chihuahua,
right.
Where the truth of it is, every breed of dog comes through the shelter, sometimes because of the breeding or overbreeding of dogs that have become really popular. Like there was a lot of attention around a French bulldog breeding case that we got into the shelter. But the truth of it is, we get French bulldogs in the shelter every week. We get doodles in the shelter every week. We've had Dalmatians, Weimaraners, like you name it, we've seen that animal come through the shelter. So people that are looking for a specific breed and think that they have to buy to get that breed, they are wrong. I've had sheepdogs my whole life, and
I know you
always
have.
from rescue. Always from rescue.
Oh, wow. Well, I've noticed that there have been a lot of huskies for adoption at the Animal Foundation, and someone shared that I guess with when Game of Thrones was so popular, everyone wanted a husky. But then again, once we came out of the pandemic, people tended to.
It's like 101 Dalmatians, same thing. Councilwoman, when that movie first came out. Right. Exactly. Councilwoman, we are just about out of time. So is there anything else you want to make sure that we talk with Hilarie and Rudy about? We got just a couple of minutes.
Well, I think, the Animal Foundation was in the news quite a bit last year. And I think there was a lot of conversation around just how stressed our animal welfare ecosystem was. And I just wanted to have Rudy and Hilarie come on, because I think we've made some great progress with new ordinances, more funding for animal protective services, and you guys are doing amazing work with all of the really responsive, seamless new programs you have in place. And I think you said you also have some more vets working at the Animal Foundation. So
we do, and a lot of what we've been rebuilding from came from the pandemic when everybody was short-staffed. We have an excellent HR department that has recruited well. Our retention is up. We have more staff than we've ever had before, and the right leaders in the right seats too on the C team. And we've just last week brought our 7th veterinarian on board, which is phenomenal, because on top of everything else, there is not just a local but a national shortage of veterinarians too, let alone ones that would work in a shelter environment when now they can make a 6-figure signing bonus
working for somebody else
with private. So our chief veterinarian is amazing, and she's built a fantastic team.
Good for her.
And that'll help us with more clinic services and to serve all the animals that come in the best we can.
Well, Hilarie,
thank you both for your work.
Exactly. Well said, both of you. Pleasure having you both on the program. Keep up the good work. Folks, these folks can't solve these problems by themselves. It takes our community working together, as Councilwoman said, the ecosystem out there. How we care for our animals as a community really falls on every resident within the valley. So think hard on that before you do something.
Think about it, adopting.
Yeah, exactly. Plenty of opportunities, and we're fostering too. So
love it. That's great.
Again, Hilarie, Rudy, thank you so much. Pleasure having you on the show. Councilwoman, stick around. Now we need to take a short break, but when we come back, we're going to tell you about some great events coming to the northwest part of Las Vegas. So please stay with us.
Up to 40% of businesses never recover after experiencing a major disaster. Make a plan at ready.gov/business.
Selfie. Nailed it.
Welcome back, everyone. We have some great events coming to Ward 6 that we want to tell you about. Councilwoman, I can't believe we're going to be talking about back to school already.
I know. Where's the summer gone? Well, hopefully, the cooler weather will come in as we go back to school.
True, true. Well, in the meantime, we've got a great event we want to tell everybody about. You have your Splash Back to School event. This is on July 26th. That's a Friday from 5 to 7 p.m.
tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly
Mark your
right.
calendars
Exactly
tomorrow.
right. At Centennial Hills Y. Councilwoman, you got school supplies, on-site immunizations, free swimming, ice cream, community vendors.
And a DJ, so you can have fun while,
Nice.
jamming to your favorite songs.
Nice. And you know what? You're doing it in the evening. That's a wise move. It's a little cooler.
Little cooler.
Yeah, as opposed to in the middle of the afternoon where it's been brutally warm here. So everyone, it'll help take the edge off going back to school if you've got a young one who has to do that, just like yourself.
Yeah.
So, and then also coming up on August 8th, you have your Bocaditos with Brune. This is from 9 to 11 at the Centennial Hills Y. Councilwoman, for those that don't know about Bocaditos with Brune, what takes place here?
It's just an open house for neighbors to stop by and share what's on their mind or meet other neighbors, and so it's been hugely successful. We do it every month. We did not take a break during the summertime, and we probably get 20 to 30 neighbors every month. There's a core group that, marks it on their calendar and comes every single time. Last month we helped someone who had a really high, it was an error, but he had a really high bill from the Southern Nevada Health District for immunizations. And so we helped him, and that bill balance is now zero.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's great.
So you get a little bit of everything when people come in on those then. Excellent. Okay, so a great way to share what's going on with the Councilwoman. Share with your neighbors and stay connected with the neighborhood. And you don't have to come all the way to City Hall. If you live out in Ward 6, you can just
People
go right
love
over.
that.
Exactly. And then also at the Centennial Hills Community Center, we have our small business breakfast. This is going to be the 14th. That's a Wednesday from 8:30 to 10. Again, out at the Y there. And tell us about this, Councilwoman.
So this is an event we do every quarter, and the idea is for small businesses in Ward 6 who, want to hear some information, some economic information, and meet other small business owners.
Kind of network.
Come out, it's a free breakfast. We usually have a speaker. We're going to be joined by Dina Babsky, our Director of
Economic and
Urban Development, who will talk about some of the exciting projects that we have going on in other parts of the city. And then we're also going to use this breakfast to launch our program where we're going to be highlighting Ward 6 businesses on social media. So we made the announcement in our newsletter. I think we already have 5 businesses signed up. So it's a great way if you want to participate in that program, stop on by, give us your name, tell us about your business, and we'll start profiling you on social media. Yeah.
I've learned about businesses close to me. Had no idea they were there, but that's how I learned about them. Exactly. So good stuff. Well, good for you, Councilwoman. Well, we're about out of time, but we want to tell everybody out there, hey, we always want to hear from you. So if there's something you'd like to share with Councilwoman Brune, you can give her a call, 702-229-6405, or you can email. Her address is nbrune@lasvegasnevada.gov. And you can also visit the Ward 6 website or subscribe to the Councilwoman's newsletter. And that QR code will help you do that right there. Well, Councilwoman, great to have you on. I guess when you're back on the show, school will be in full swing and the whole 9 yards.
We'll be talking about Halloween probably right?
It'll be coming up.
This year has flown by so quickly.
It really has. So we'll see you back in 6 weeks. And in the meantime, everybody, we want to thank you for joining us. Don't miss our next show beginning on August 1st with Ward 1 Councilman and Mayor Pro Tem Brian Knutson. You can now catch all of our KCLV shows on Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire. Also, watch for our QR code that I mentioned after this show to subscribe to that newsletter. And don't forget, you can watch us live on the internet at kclv.tv. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you next time around.